Guys, I am on fire right now. I found my Gelli plate. I thought I had lost it in the flood last year, and it is the greatest thing. So if you've never Gelli plate, mono print, whatever you want to call it, fun, coolest thing, if I had some sort of dried botanical something or other, this is like, I don't know what this is called. This is from my friend Brooke. I stole it from her shop floor the other day. But anyway, it was Valentine's Day and I was in there and this was like a scrap on the floor. So I just stuck it in between a book overnight. It's not formally dried. Anyway, just lay it down. I've got, this is a new, normally I would use like a really thin watercolor paper, but to be perfectly honest with you, I don't have that. I don't have that on hand. So I'm using, there's a really nice cottony cardstock I got from like Office Max, like nothing special. Hold on. The trick is to really get in there. Some people do this with like a foam brayer. This is a rubber brayer I used to put the ink down. Some people do the squishing process with a foam brayer. I think it's better when you use, what I'd be using at home is like a soup can. A can with like a little bit of a divot. That just seems to really get in there. And that little woody stem on here is making this hard, but we're gonna do it. Okay. Look at that. Ooh, look! Ah! So cool. And I love it. And so this is Gelli planning like 101. This is the basic thing. But the thing is, you can do this to revive forgotten or failed artworks. It's the coolest thing. You need to see what you can do with this because it's so much more. Okay, so do you see these two things? These are both from the same result. How do you do this? So I got one really good print off of that one pull. First one is like that. Second one, I think the formal term that printmakers use is they call it a ghost print. I'm not really a printmaker, so somebody will tell me I'm doing this wrong, but it's pretty easy. The Gelli plate is the key thing, and I think you really have to get the Gelli plate. When I was back in the day in art school, when they did a demo with this, you had to use an actual Gelli gelatin. It was real gelatin, and it was gross. And we do a whole cookie sheet with like 8 packs of gelatin. And I remember the instructor showing it, and I just thought that was the nastiest thing. I'm like, I have no interest in ever doing that again. Now you can buy a Gelli plate. They are so cool. This one. So this is the one I'll show you I am using. I really like it. It's 8 by 10. I bought it on Amazon for about 20 bucks. Swipe up if you want to buy one. You can also find them definitely in art stores. I saw one once at a Michael's. I think when I first saw these, I ran off to Michael's thinking I could buy one, and I couldn't. So I can't speak for every craft store, but for certain Amazon and art stores, swipe up. You can use pretty much any kind of acrylic paint, not watercolor, but acrylic paint. This is, like I said, I like house paint. It has a nice creaminess to it. That red there is, I think it's like the Walmart generic brand. It's not fancy, but I do like using two-tone because it makes the imperfections seem a little more perfect. Okay, now I've got some Italian Rustica, which is a lovely green. Again, I just pressed it overnight. It's not formally pressed. I didn't put it in a telephone book. I just tried to flatten it a bit. It still has a woody stem. It's going to be okay now. This was interesting. And then I did I wrote the holiday hours for the store. I don't know why I did it on a nice sheet, but I did. But I'm using it so you can see. Writing is going to lend kind of a cool effect. Okay, now I do this. This is hard. Believe me, I'm going to squish this. It's hard to do one-handed, so I could do it. Just a sec. I highly suggest peeking. You want to do it so hard that the stem kind of squishes into that gel plate and peek. Did you get it strong? Yes. Oh, look at that. Guys, I love that. And I love the writing makes it so... I don't know, it just sounds a little bit of a something. Trust me. Well, this is phase 1. When we get to phase 3, you're not even going to believe where that started. Because I'm weird like this, I like to go over the edges too. Just honestly, even if you don't have, I'm just going to use a wet brush I'm going to blend that out a bit. And, oh, here's a thing. If you find that you have kind of a tight spot or there's like a big blank spot, you didn't take a palette knife, which I can't find anything today. It's a plastic spoon. That works just fine. And you can come in and do a little bit of mark making. Oh, hold on. Trust me. It's a lot easier. Yeah, there you go. Okay. You have to do it when it's wet, though, or it won't. Whenever a composition feels a little tight, I think the answer is splatter. However, I don't want splatter all over, so what I'm going to do is just take scrap paper. I'm going to cover part of it. I want to preserve the tightness there. Come with diluted paint on a chip brush, scraggly chip brush. Oh, look at that. And that, my friends, that's exactly what that needed. Might need just a touch for balance. Oh, that is awesome. Okay, I'm going to go and let this dry. It needs to be dry 100% before we go and do marker work. Okay, so as long as I got the splatter out, though, you know what? I'm going to revive that underlayer. Don't be surprised if it pulls away. Do you see that? That's normal. That's just the paint sort of blending on location. They don't always like that. That's just fine. Okay, so I'm going to come in. Now I'm back to using just really good absorbent white cardstock. We got that second pull, and now what I'm going to do, this is an abstract that just was never, I mean, there's things I like about it, but there's things I don't like about it. I'm going to do, generally, when in doubt, put the visual heft at the bottom, and assuming this is our stem shape, it's coming like that. Pull this off, and we're just going to create this as a background. Put that down, and come in with something with, look at that. Look at that! Oh, people, friends. I love that. I love if you did nothing to that, but add maybe a highlight on a pastel or something. That would be so good. You just created foreground, background. It's not about accuracy. Accuracy is not interesting. It's about creating all these juicy colors, weirdness, texture. Look at that. You couldn't duplicate that with a brush if you tried. Look. Oh. Here is the other, this is the cool thing, as your botanicals will get all painty and stuff. You can reuse them over and over again. You can't put them back in a book because the paint, well, it's wet because the paint will stick. So you're just going to have to let them air dry for a while. And then when they're dry, you can put them back in a book if that's, the easiest way to store. But I might do the back side of this so it gets both sides, and then put it in a little bud vase and just set that out at the counter, the front of the gallery. I think that also do the spoon trick. You could write your name on this. You could do whatever you want. You don't have to use botanicals either. If you did nothing but this, well, let's try that for a minute. Let me just show you how this would be. Look what I'm getting up. All this gook. Hold on. Now, let's come over. You don't have to use botanicals. I've got some pieces of paper towel. I'm going to lay these out. And I might use some string. I don't know. That's kind of a cool shape. There's something. Okay, here's a bird piece that did not go quite so well. And here's the thing. These jelly plates tend to be sort of small. Mine here is 8 by 10. I think this is a 12 by 16. So what I'm going to do, instead of trying to do it square in the middle and fill the edges, I'm going to actually try to concentrate this first pull on the bottom half, and then I'm going to move the second one to the top. Okay, let's see how that, so that first pull, look at that. I mean, that's pretty cool right there. And then what I'll do is put my thumb sort of at the edge and then line that up. Yeah, I'm not interested in perfection here, but I love that. I love that contrast. This is the thing about jelly. Half the difficulty is picking the colors, because you don't want something that's exactly the same. The thing though, you need to clean it up before you go, and it'll go great. This is also worth mentioning. I forgot to say, I ruined my first jelly plate years ago because I was too aggressive with it. You don't want to be so aggressive that because it's squishy. That very particular squishness is what allows it to. Okay, so I've got this, which is very cool. It was it was sort of that ghost print, and then I did a strong print on top of it. I'm weighing it down with some gesso so it doesn't move. And what I usually like to do is I'll do my marker. So what I'm doing here is I am just taking a regular Sharpie, and I'm coming along, and I am not letting my pen leave the paper. And what that does is by not leaving the paper, I get weird sort of a little more organic feeling. I don't know why that is. They're not perfect. I'm not going for perfect. Perfect is boring. I'm just coming in and I'm just tracing around. And you can come in. Do you see that? Follow the edge. You could do that. You could absolutely do that. You want to come in and just add a little peak? That's fine. Do a center stem and come around. Do whatever your heart desires, but I really encourage you, try doing it maybe with your non-dominant hand. Try doing it in a way besides neat and tidy. Okay, so I love this. If I did nothing else to this, I love this just as is. Add a signature, call it a day. However, I have my mermaid pens out, which are essentially watercolor pens. And you could use real watercolor, but because this is on cardstock, I worry about rippling. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to pull maybe one or two, and I'm going to darken up that top. I'm just sort of creating a highlight, and then maybe I'll add a little pattern work. I'm a more is more kind of gal. Never too much. So that instantly that leaf got kind of interesting. What if we did that over here? And you can get these wet and spread it around, but I don't really want to. So I'm not. Okay, and come on in and just, a little polka dot city. One with the rustica on top of the abstract. I came in, I did the black lines. I'm going to add some white, just dashes with the Posca. I'm blurring my eyes, and I'm looking for the parts where the red is so dominant that red's a wonderful color, but it doesn't always play well with others. It can kind of steal the show, especially we have red and green, which are exact, opposites pretty much on the color wheel. They can kind of start to vibrate if we're not careful. So, by just adding little touches of white on the most dominant bits of red, we kind of, I don't want to say we mute it, but we allow it to take a different form. So, we've got that, and now I've got new pastels, which are essentially soft pastels, but they have a little bit more of a binder in them, and that I like because they take, I decided it needed a touch of orchid. Just sometimes that's it. Just needs to abstract the edge. That's it. And then, because it's pastel, fix it with a couple coats of Spectra Fix. I think that's really, really lovely. And I am going to keep on going. I'm sure you'll see these evolve over the next few days. But I'm so pleased. I think, man, this is an old art. Gelatin printing has been around for ages, but technology, that So here I've got one that has a ton. You see what I did? It was sort of a negative print. Then I came in with some Sharpie, and now I'm going to fill in that white space, because you know me and white space. We don't always get along. But I like leaving just a little glow around the edges. This is hard to do one-handed, but you're just going to have to trust me. It comes out pretty nifty. Now, I like that composition-wise, but you know what? It feels a little tight, so I would like it better with a splatter. What I'm going to do is take some scrap paper, block off part of it, because I just want a halo of splatter. I've got my diluted paint, and let's see what that does. Oh, yeah. That, you know what? We need a little down here, though. Yeah. That's really nice. Now, I might let that dry. For some reason, I might add a touch of gold or pastel, or I might just leave it alone. I like the way this one came out, but it's sort of lacking in the stems just because the underlayer was so particular. So I'm going to come in, if you ever do that, just find yourself a neutral permanent pen. Not black, not white, just something vaguely neutral. And that'll kind of make up the difference. I'm just going to come in and gesture around. Then I'm going to trace over in white. Composition here needs a little touch of help. There's some places where I'm okay with blankness, but it's just not quite working. So I'm doing is I'm actually going to use this as a stencil, and I'm going to stencil the negative shape. Trust me, it helps. It does. And maybe instead of stripes, I do dots on these. Just little dots. I don't know. We could have left them blank, but why not? Love a good dot. This one has kind of an under the sea feeling. It's got like corally kind of weird. I don't know what they are, but the new pastel is nice. You get that down and you can smear it a little. And now it seems more floral. So I'm going to put this in the February flowers. This one I also going crazy with the smears. I just love it. Spectrafix is the best. You can use it inside. Most fixatives that's not possible. Just a couple of coats of that. And let that dry off and get these behind, a mat and glass, and you can do such cool stuff. And it's wonderful to have a second life opportunity for art. We all have to give ourselves permission to make things without expecting them to be pretty the first time around. This is it. This is a great way to go. So anyway, I'm gonna keep on making, and if you do this and post yours and use the hashtag gelliprintbotanicals. Gelli has 2 L's, because hopefully this will go on, and I know I'm going to be revisiting this in time, and it's a wonderful thing to add to, and things evolve, and I love being able to see where things go and what people make, and this one's super forgiving, and I hope it travels on. I hope it stays with you. I hope you make things and they're going to turn out great. Okay, I'll see you next time.